my number and you know my name. You know racing cars is my favorite game, and you know I can't be beat when I'm in the driver's seat. See, I got a lead foot and gas in my veins. God put a V8 where he should have put brains. There ain't a race I haven't run. There ain't a race I haven't won. And it's been 7 days since I've won a race, and I don't plan on leaving this place till I've won another. Send you crying home to your mother. See, I got the car, the skill, the crew, the will. God hates a sinner, but he loves a winner. You dare to show your face? Come on, Ace. Let's race.
Hello again, everybody. This is Joe Larson. You're watching the 505 Racing Show. Welcome. Hope everybody had a good week. I know I did. There was really no racing per se that we could talk about, but there's always stuff to talk about. In fact, I'm going to start off today. I just got my resume paperwork so I could drive this NASCAR Wheel and Modified Tour race car. And I'm going through, it's a 3-page thing. And although I've chatted with them about it, I never really looked at the form until today. So of course it has all the normal stuff, your name, address, phone number, email, your license number, and all that kind of good stuff. The series you want to run and all that kind of good stuff. But then there's a whole listing of all the tracks that you raced at. The date you raced at them, the track type, and when they say type, it's whether it's a paved oval, a dirt oval, road course, other drags, or whatever. But then the series or class and the horsepower that you were in, your starting position and your finishing position. Now, I haven't raced competitively in NASCAR in almost 20 years. Almost 20 years. And I don't mean this in a bad way, and I don't mean to laugh, but it also asks for the name, phone number, email address of the track official in charge at the time. He passed away. So I don't know what to put there. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting, let me tell you. And I don't know where I started and finished. It was almost 20 years ago. It was in the 90s. I don't remember what I did yesterday. I can remember what I did 20 years ago. So this is going to be interesting. And then I have to list, what else do I have to list? I have to list 3 people that can attest to my racing experience. Now, I know 22 figure 8 is somebody who could attest to my experience, because I probably bounced off of him more times than I care to remember. But yeah, WJ, I know I got to put out a message. So this is going to be interesting, because I know other competitors who kind of just went from smaller tracks right to New Hampshire, and that was okay. But because it's me, I know I gotta, on this form, I gotta cross the T's and dot the I's, and everything's got to be perfect. So this is going to be an interesting time. Plus, I'm going to be sending it down now during the holidays, and who knows, who goes for break, holiday break, who takes off, and who leaves. So I probably won't get my answer back as to the tracks I can race until sometime, probably like right before Daytona, which is a non-points race, so I'm not going to be going to that. Because I know that's the size track they're making, I'm supposedly able to run. So, but in a series that's losing more competitors than it's gaining, I'm sure they will work something out with me. I'm just thinking, WJ, you just love my background. I thought blue meant rain. I don't see any, white. I see some line, but I'm not going to go there. But the 1890s, yeah, Video Mike. So Video Mike, was a little under the weather. Good to see that you're, I don't want to say up and about, but that you're about and you're tuned in, so that's good. Hope everything's going well for you. I had seen Kevin Basic at the swap meet at Riverhead Raceway this past weekend. A very, very profitable day for JTL Enterprises Motorsports and myself. Everything I brought to get rid of is gone. Everything. And not that I had junk to get rid of, I had some good stuff to get rid of. But I went there with a hope, and I left there with just some cash in my pockets, and it's all good. And I know I don't say this often. In fact, I probably never say this, but my hat's off to Bob Finan for putting that on at swap meet. I forget what annual swap meet it is. I think it's the third or fourth, but it's taken on its own little life here. And these are the things you need to do as a racetrack, helping competitors out, because one man's junk is another man's gold, as they say. And there was a lot of junk there, but a lot of people walked out of there through the gates carrying things out that they didn't carry in. So it's a good thing, you know. And by far, it's no comparison to the swap meet and flea market that they have at Thompson International Speedway in Connecticut. But, you know, however, it's the local racers coming and putting their stuff out. And there was everything. There was, you know, from go-karts to modifieds to the engines, parts engines. It was all good. So, like I said, I had a great time. Actually signed some books and, like I said, sold everything I came with. And you know, I don't know, some people were saying there weren't too many people, you know, buying. I guess it depends on which side of the fence you're on now, because, you know, if you sell all your stuff, there was enough buyers there. If you walked left with what you brought, and, you know, there weren't enough. But I know last year or the year before, there were more sellers than buyers, and it was kind of tough. But that might have been a couple of years ago. But those things are hard to put together. It's not easy, and you hope everybody has access to the computer and the social media so that they could, you know, get the word, and then you hope the word of mouth goes, and you know, and who has what, and who's doing what, and, you know, it's just going to get bigger, and I really feel that way, because I think swap meets and race car flea markets are very important in the racing community. It gives you something to do in the middle of the winter, and it is the middle of the winter. Really, it's not even winter yet, but it's the middle of the off season. And, you know, before you know it, we'll be back and we'll be getting ready to go racing again. But it was good to walk around, see some of the folks, talk to some of the folks, see what's going on with people, and you know, see what they have, see what they're looking to get rid of. And I'll tell you, I might have even sold one of my race cars, which was not my intention to do. However, as the president of my company that I work for, as the president of the company said, if somebody is going to offer you money for something you're really not going to looking to sell, and the money is worth the while to do, why not sell it? So we'll be getting rid of it. Looks like we're going to get rid of one of my race cars. So, but that's okay, because it becomes, it allows me to concentrate more on what we plan on doing in 2014, which I might add, my plan is to go up to Riverton, Connecticut this Saturday, and I think we're going to do the seat thing and get some other things in place. So it's snowballing, and before you know it, the season's going to be here, and I don't know. And Silverback, the ink is not dry yet, but I'll tell you what, I spoke to the people and the individuals who were involved with this announcement, which, let me tell you something, it floored me, and I'm happy to say that when I got the call, I was with some very special people, and I was able to share that with them, and they were very excited, so that only added to my excitement. But I've been asked not to say anything until it's officially out. Yes, no one. That it's officially out. In fact, I believe we're going to make that announcement on this show next week. I believe the people involved are going to come here and talk about it. So, with that being said, before I give it away, and no, it's I don't have a big sponsorship deal coming. I don't have a big sponsor package. You know, Wade Cole didn't go out and buy me a brand new car and a brand new motor. Although that would be nice if he did, but no, that's not the case. But in fact, it's not even racing related. That's all I can really say. But yeah, yeah, for Silverback, he's going to go out, going on the road, and it's pretty great. No, it's a good thing. I don't excite easy, and I'm very excited about this. Like I said in the social media today, that hard work, perseverance, and loyalty have paid off, and loyalty is big. Loyalty is big. You know, unlike Robinson Cano and Mr. Granderson, who left the Yankees to go elsewhere for the quick buck. But this isn't a baseball show, so we'll save that for some other person to talk to. But yes, I do, Sue. I got good equipment and a good motor, and I'm excited. Billy the Kid knows that I'm racing just a short track, so I have a good short track program, and it's good. And the other thing I got at that flea market, I received commitment from an individual / organization / company that has agreed to sponsor my tour car for 2 events, for tires and whatnot. And he has asked that I not say anything until then. So, you know what they say, it's hard to keep a secret unless one of the guys is dead. But anyway, so it's like things are just rolling. Things are just rolling really good, and you know, good things come to those who wait. And I think I've waited long enough. But anyway, I don't know if anybody watched the Spring Cup Series banquet. I saw some excerpts from it. It's the same old nonsense. It's not why I didn't watch it on purpose, because you got the canned speeches that are sometimes, believe it or not, written by NASCAR PR people, so they say all the right things, or some of them have their own PR people. But in the past, when I've seen these things, and thanks, Gary, because I heard that. It's a 3 or 4 hour NASCAR infomercial. But what I have noticed over the last couple of years, they no longer say how much the driver earned or made. They don't say that. They used to say, and in 5th place, earning $1 million, blah, 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 so-and-so, so-and-so. They don't do that anymore. Another guy, WJMyRacers.com, was saying the same thing pretty much. It was, I'm hearing that. And they really need to do something to spruce it up, number one. They need to do something to speed it up. It's just too long of a show. There's just too many speeches, and then they limit the time of the speeches, and then all the inside jokes and all the entertainment. You know what? And that's good. I guess that's good, but and I guess if I was the champion or a guy that's on the stage getting an award, I want to savor the moment. But here's your trophy. Thank the people you got to thank. Sit down. Next. The only person who should elaborate on any speeches would be, I would say, is the series champion. And but again, it just seemed like to me in the past it's been, canned speeches that some PR person said this is what you have, and when it was at Mohegan Sun for the touring banquets, I was one of the presenters, and I was handed a canned speech that I had to read. And at the dress, I had to go to a dress rehearsal and read this speech off of teleprompters, which was kind of weird. And they forced you to go like this, because I don't know if anybody's familiar with it, but those mirrors, or not mirrors, those looks like plexiglass things that are like out here, on the stage. I always thought it was so nobody could shoot you, like when the president talks in public, and so you can't get shot. It was like bulletproof glass. But the words are on there, and then it ends on this one, and it forces you to look at that one. So you get the impression that you're talking to the entire audience. Now, a trained professional speaker knows to do that, but most people that are receiving awards at NASCAR awards banquets are not trained professional people and did not attend the Dale Carnegie School on how to speak. So anyway, I haven't got the control room laughing at that one. But no, Kevin, by the time I got back with Kevin's there from Long Island Need for Speed, he gave me some DVDs, which I appreciate that. Thank you very much. No, by the time I got back and had something to eat and thawed out, because it was flipping cold right there off of the Peconic Bay. And and I haven't had the time either. So anyway, but again, the tour banquet, I believe, is this upcoming weekend, which should be good. And again, I don't understand why it was taken out of the Northeast, where these teams come from, where their sponsors come from, where their fan base is. I don't understand it. And I'm sure NASCAR, in its infinite wisdom, has a reason for bringing it down to Charlotte. And and it's a business decision that they've made, and I got to respect that, and I do. I just, we had something going very good up in Connecticut for our banquet, and it was well attended, and it just, you don't have that anymore. When you hope everybody can make it, especially a person that's getting some kind of award, but and don't get me wrong, the trophies and the awards, they're expensive, they're nice, they're pretty, and as a recipient of awards in the past, yeah, it's nice, but I'm not going to spend $5,000 to get a $50 trophy, because they're going to either ship it to me or give it to me at the first event anyway. So I don't know, but yeah, Peconic. No, I was at Riverhead Raceway. Peconic Bay Speedway is a fictional racetrack, WJ. It's a fictional racetrack that only exists in the View series, as my publisher now calls my books, the View series. So anyway, but it's all good. It's all good. But again, the banquet, I didn't watch it. I didn't watch it on purpose. You would think having a show about racing, I would watch it, but no, I'm not. I'm not gonna, torture myself. I could go online and watch the parts of it that I want to watch, and that's what I'm going to do when I can. Anyway, we're going to take a break. When we come back, I want to talk about an announcement that most of you already know about, that on the Wheeler Modified Tour. We'll be back. Hey, we're back. All right, we're back. So, what do we got going on? My Rookie of the Year chances are dwindling. The NASCAR Wheeler Modified Tour, as we all know that, or just heard that. What do we got coming back? Tommy Barrett will take over the driving duties of the 22 car, formerly driven by Mike Stefanik, owned by Our Racing. Tommy Barrett will start 2014. He has appeared in 7 Wheeler Modified events over 3 years. I'm sorry. Mike Stefanik is a 7-time Wheeler Modified Tour champion, and he's going to move on. Now, I haven't heard move on to what, but Mike is moving on. But Barrett, who's only 18, he's from Millis, Massachusetts. His Wheeling Modified Tour debut was in 2012, and he has not competed in enough races yet to mess up his rookie status. So he's the first rookie candidate to declare his candidate for Rookie of the Year. So he's going to run a full season. He's run Stafford, he's run Thompson, so he's eligible to run, over half mile as well. So that gives him, like, based on what the schedule may be, not saying I know what the schedule is, but that gives him the opportunity to run 6 or 7 more races than me. So, my my Rookie of the Year status is starting to look like I might be in second. But anyway, I wish him well. He's going with the 22 car. Brad LaFontaine will stay on as crew chief. Brad, owner and proprietor of Northeast Race Cars, good guy. I'll tell you what, he's a good guy, Brad, and he's always helpful to me, even with my cars at Riverhead, believe it or not. So whatever I needed, I sometimes could just go to Brad. And not that I didn't do things from the local parts guy, but sometimes I can get things from Brad that would just show up in a box without a bill. But anyway, and everybody, I'm sure, has heard Doug Colby, the 2012 NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour champion, has agreed to drive the Mike Smiglio III Racing number 2, a car vacated by Todd Szegedy. Colby, the 2012 Whelen Modified champ, is leaving the 52 car after 3 stellar seasons, as the NASCAR press release says. He drove with Darling Racing Team. Colby had 8 wins in the 52 car, along with that championship. So I believe his car owner, Ron Darling, was going to cut back in 2014, and only, I'm sure because of cost and things of that nature. And Doug's a caliber driver. He needs to be a full-time ride. He needs to be in a full-time ride, and I think that's an excellent opportunity for Doug, because he's a good chauffeur. He's a personable guy. I enjoy talking with him. He's professional, and I think this mix here with Phil Moran as the team manager and Mike Smiglio, it's going to be a good deal for everybody. So that is good. It's good for him. And Silverback, I thought about that. But I thought about cutting back and doing one less race than messes up your rookie status. So I thought about that. That's something that Wade and I are going to talk about on Saturday, I think. But if I were to do that, that would mean I would only race the 2 Riverheads, Monadnock, and 2 Staffords. We'll see. We'll see what happens. And going by, my plan was only 8 or 9 races anyway, WJ. So, and part of that's budget. Of course, if a big sponsor comes along and foots the bill and gives Wade a big check or gives me a big check, that was always the plan. Only 8 races or so, and that's what we're looking to do. But the other issue is, with a 3-car team, with me being the new guy in, if anything were to happen with number 1, the boss's race car, or number 2, the boss's race car that somebody else drives, my car would be the backup for him. Yeah, Waterford too. So we're going to have to figure that out, Silverback, what we're going to do, if that's our plan moving forward. But I'll tell you what, I would probably trade off Waterford for one of the Riverheads, because that's not my favorite place, and not for any reason other than, I wrecked too much stuff at Riverhead. So I had a season there one year, and 22 figure eight. I don't know if he's on. I can't see who's on the chat room, but 22 figure eight, I can tell you. There was one season I did not drive my race car off the racetrack. Me and the tow truck guy, we had a good rapport. It got after like the 3rd week in a row, he knew right where I parked. Didn't even have to ask. But that's so good. That's so good. What else is happening? NASCAR. NASCAR has purchased Iowa Speedway, the .875-mile racetrack in Newtown, Iowa, has been purchased. The track was owned by U.S. Motorsports Corp. with a minority ownership from NASCAR Hall of Famer Rusty Wallace. Rusty Wallace will stay on under the new ownership. They just don't know haven't announced in what capacity. So here's NASCAR's buying a racetrack. Now, when I saw that, I sat back on my chair and I said, why would they buy this racetrack? Now, it's a beautiful facility. I've been there a few times. I worked some K&N races there, East and West, and it's a beautiful facility. And there's a landing strip. They can land the private planes like right there instead of flying into Des Moines and driving the hour or so that it takes through the cornfields. It's a beautiful facility. So I got to ask myself, why would NASCAR go buy this racetrack? So I put my businessman hat on, and that's a white hat. I just want to let you know, it's not the black hat, which I did wear at the swap meeting. And not because I wanted to be the bad guy, because I was cold. But anyway, here's what I'm thinking. The track was in trouble, financially. So they went to NASCAR. They probably asked for a loan. Because I'm sure NASCAR does stuff like that. Because they do try to help the promoters. I know a lot of people don't believe that. So I'm thinking that instead of losing the racetrack and letting the weeds grow through the cracks, NASCAR bought this racetrack. And they're going to put some stuff there. You know, the K&N Pro Series, West will make regular stops there. They'll have probably a combo show with the K&N Series. You know, they'll put the trucks out there. They'll do some good stuff out there. They'll make it happen. Now, NASCAR doesn't spend millions of dollars in the hopes of breaking even. So I wish them well in this endeavor. And I see more of this happening. I see more of this happening, you know, throughout the country with some of the tracks that are struggling. Even some tracks in the weekly series, the NASCAR Wheel All-American Series. Because a lot of people don't think NASCAR cares about the local short tracks, but they do. Because they make a lot of revenue. And how so? You're going to ask, how so? I'm going to tell you how. First of all, they're getting the license money. They're getting sanction fees. I don't know what the sanction fees are at every track, but I know what they were at my local racetrack when I was around. I know what that is. And then there's the percentage of the purse. I believe it's 3% of the purse paid, not the published purse, the purse paid out goes to NASCAR as a point fund. So that point fund money doesn't come from NASCAR. It comes from NASCAR, but NASCAR, that money is given to them every week from all the weekly racetracks across the country. And check one in opening day goes in the bank and it sits there, and 20, 25 weeks later, NASCAR's made a small fortune in interest. Think about how many weekly tracks that NASCAR has its hands in, with running under the NASCAR banner. Think about 3% of the total purses paid out, and think about the 2 or 3% interest they gain on that money that sits there all that time. That's a lot of money. So, I don't know, whatever. So, NASCAR should figure out. I don't know if they would. I don't know if they would buy the track. But I did notice. I mean, here I am at the now I've been going to Riverhead Raceway since, I'm trying to remember the year I first went there. It was probably like 72. I was maybe 14, 15 years old. And there was nothing out there. In fact, back in 83 when I was breaking into UPS as a UPS driver, I did that Route 58. Hey, we're back. So somebody tried to silence me. It's so funny. They tried to silence me. They didn't like what I was saying. So I had to get a new mic. Can't silence me. I ain't backing down. But anyway, racetracks, buying racetracks. I forgot what I was saying. But it's, NASCAR helps racetracks, and they don't want to see these places, fold up or shut down. And contrary to popular belief, you got to understand, NASCAR is a big business, and they're in business to make money. And as long as that avenue for them is profitable, they're going to keep that. Yeah, you see that? There's somebody driving in it looks like I don't know. Yeah, it's an in-car cam. It's pretty cool, actually. It's pretty nice. It's pretty cool. I think I don't think he dumped the 26. I think the 26 came down on him. I used that same thing when somebody crashed in front of me once. I didn't did you? But the weather person is always here. Let me tell you something. It better not snow tonight into tomorrow, because I got things I have to do and I need good weather. I'm picking up a bedroom set. I need to have good weather tomorrow. Oh, man, if it was me driving, things would be upside down, Kevin. But anyway, yeah, my license test. No, it's kind of funny with my video, Mike, because it used to be if you had money in a race car, you could race. Now I gotta fill out these freaking forms because I want to go racing. Nobody told me about this form. It was I can't believe this. And then I tried to log in. It said I'm already in. I'm like, oh man, I can't already be in. I never did it before. Oh man, no, I'm not in Cup yet. No. And I'll tell you, I heard from an old friend today who's, and I'm not going to say what series he was on, and I'm not going to say who he is or what he did. But I got a message from an old buddy of mine. I know this guy, it seems like forever. And he is now a former NASCAR official. And I asked him if I could talk about this, and he said, no. So that's why I'm not saying what series or his name, because people can figure it out. But here's a guy that dedicated a lot of years to NASCAR. Missed a lot of stuff, a lot of family stuff, a lot of things in his community, because he went racing just about every weekend. And he had some personal issues going on, and early on in the season he had to take a leave, so to speak, a little leave of absence, and to take care of these personal issues. Well, when the season ended, he got a phone call. And he thinks he's getting a phone call, to see how things are going, because nobody called him during the season to see how things were going. He got a phone call at the end of the season, and he's, sees on his caller ID, it's Mr. So-and-so, the series director that he worked in. And what they would basically tell him that he was being released because they need full-time people, full-time dedicated people. That's the thanks that he got for, I'm going to say 20 years as an official. And a doggone good one at that, too. So it goes back to what I was saying. It's a business, and that's how they look at it. And it's just how it is. Anyway. But you know what? He's a trooper. He'll land on his feet. And even though as a NASCAR official, you get paid to do it, but it's not your job. It's not your livelihood. It's something you do, So, it was one of the things when I had my discussion about leaving. I says, what about the money you're making? I said, I don't do this for the money. Yeah, I cash the check when it comes, but I don't do it for the money. Yeah, video mic. I drove a pace car at Martinsville. In fact, I don't know if I ever told that story here. I actually, maybe I did. I fell asleep. It was a hot day. And we were, doing our thing all day long. And then I got in the pace car, and the air conditioner's on, and I got some music cranking real soft. I got my headset on, but I only have one ear in the headset, and the other one so I can hear the music. And the next thing I know, I'm like really comfortable. I'm like, wow, this is nice. The hum of the cars going by. I was parked outside at turn 2, and all of a sudden I hear the director come over the radio. All right, Joe, never mind. You get him next time by. Like half the field just went by, and I was like, oh man. Yeah, I don't know. I never drove the pace car again. But yes, my racers, that's the reward for loyalty today. It's what have you done for me today, and I know that's how corporate America is today. That's how it was when I was at UPS. And I know that's how it was when I was at NASCAR. It's what have you done today? They don't want to know what you did 10 years ago, 12, 15, 20 years. It just is. All right, Kevin Long Island Need for Speed headed to the firehouse, one of those volunteer firemen in our community, and I have the utmost respect for those guys. I was one of those guys for a long time, and I thought it was just a bunch of guys that hung out at the firehouse, drinking cocktails. But when my butt was crawling on the floor, holes in a hose with flames coming at me, I realized that there's a lot more to it than just hanging out with your buddies. So my hat's off to all volunteers, and whether they're volunteer firemen or whatnot, but you need volunteers to do these things. Long Island Need for Speed. Hey, if you need any DVDs or anything in that, races, present races, old races, stuff here local, whatever, give Kevin a call. Long Island Need for Speed. I'll tell you what, I've got a whole video library from him, and then it's all good. It's all good. Let's see, what else we got going on? It's no surprise Dale Earnhart Jr. wins his 11th straight most popular driver award. Vote early and vote often, I guess. I don't know. Because I'll tell you what, and I'm going to say this. If his name was Joe Smith, he wouldn't be getting this 11 straight years, let me tell you. I'm going to tell you a story about that happened at Daytona. You have the people like the fence grabbers. They're up on the roof and they're looking down. But you have people with hot passes and they're walking the garage. And I wonder how some of them got these hot passes, because you think if you're going to be representing your organization or your company or your racetrack, and you're fortunate enough to receive hot passes, at least dress the part. I'm big on appearance, all right? So you got these people walking around, and then there's Dale Earnhardt Jr. His car's backed out of the garage, and they're kind of doing their thing, working on it, and everybody's crowding around to watch. And Mr. Popularity went to one of the security people and asked to move the people back. So the people didn't move back fast enough, so then all of a sudden, the guys with the guns come, and now they just formed a perimeter and moved you back. And you know what? To me, that's not the most popular driver. I could never imagine Richard Petty doing that, because he knows that those people that they're gawking at him, even the fence grabbers on the top of the roof, he wouldn't be where he is without those people. And it just bothered me that day that he did that. They weren't bothering him. They just wanted to get a close shot. They wanted to take a picture that wasn't 40 feet away. They don't have these big expensive cameras. And they just wanted to get a picture. And say, hey, it's 5 feet away. And he pushed them all back. So to me, that's not the most popular driver. The most popular driver is fan friendly. So so all those little buddies, I guess, just like I said, you vote early, vote often. It's just incredible, and I don't understand some of these most popular driver things. I don't know. Maybe it could be done a little bit different. That you go online and just keep voting every day. That's not right. And then some people have nothing better to do in their life, so they just sit there and vote all day long, 100 times, over and over and over and over and over and over again. So it's just not. I don't know. It's really not I guess it is the most popular driver, but not voted on by people who make a difference. I don't know. So it's like the All-Star game and that they vote the players in. I don't know, whatever. Just saying. But there was a nice award given out at the banquet. This gentleman, Don Post, he is the event chairman of the March of Dimes of Kansas City. He won the Betty Jane France Humanitarian Award. He kind of runs the Bikers for Babies motorcycle ride. And what's amazing about this individual is Don Post was diagnosed with ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease, in 1980. And he was told he only had 3 to 5 years to live. So he decided he was going to take those 3 to 5 years and give back to the community. It's, 34 years later, he outlived the time the doctors told him, and he continues to give to his community. So Betty Jane France, humanitarian award, that's an award that means something. That is one of those things that if you receive that, you earned it. You earned it. It wasn't a popularity contest. You earned it, and he earned that award. So my hat's off to that gentleman. I don't even know him. And when I read that, with Lou Gehrig, for those who don't know, Lou Gehrig is my hero in life. And he just is. The Yankee slugger who was taken down in his prime through this disease. And he's my hero. And my high school yearbook quote was words that Lou Gehrig spoke, and he said when he was at his farewell address at Yankee Stadium in front of like 90,000 people, that today, and I quote, "Today I consider myself the luckiest man on the face of the earth." And here's a guy that was dying, and he said that. So he's my hero. And I don't think I ever told people that, but that's a debilitating disease. And I'll tell you what, I know somebody who has it, and he was an intelligent guy, very comfortable existence, owned a large company, and it was all him. A company started by his grandfather, turned over to his father. When his father passed on, he took over, and everybody thought he was going to fall flat on his face, and he grew the company into bigger and better, and then once he realized that it was time, he stepped aside and sold out to a bigger and better company than his. And I've known this individual for probably about 40 years, 35, 40 years, and he's suffering from this disease. It's just a matter of time. But anyway, I didn't want to get all doom and gloom here, but but that's just how it is. That's just how it is. Life has a funny way of throwing you certain cards sometimes. Let's see, Charlotte, two dozen sprint teams headed to Charlotte Wednesday. They were supposed to go Monday, but due to weather, they didn't last week. And the test is to validate potential rule changes. To validate potential rule changes. What does that mean? Well, we're going to talk about what that means when we come back. We'll be back in a little bit.
Hey, dude, it's me again. Village Music Shop in Mastic. Anyway, you all know my dog, Mr. Big. Yeah. Well, Dudes and Dudettes Village Music Shop has been in business for over 37 years, serving musicians with the best products and service around. Oh, they have private lessons on all instruments and in all styles of music in their new state-of-the-art digital teaching studios, with the excellent sales and service of guitars, drums, school band instruments, amps, PAs, as well as sheet music, books, and accessories. Basically, dudes, everything musical. Right, Big? Yeah. Chill out. Village Music has rentals on all instruments, even PA systems for your parties and barbecues. Oh, cool. Dudes, Village Music Shop never has a sale on stuff because every day our prices are lower than all the competition. Stores, internet, whatever, guaranteed. Yeah. So come to Village Music Shop, 1495 Montauk Highway in Mastic. Phone 1-800-HEY-DUDE. Anyway.
InReview.com.
Oil City Skate Park, Long Island's only indoor skate park. Skateboarding, BMX, inline skating, open 7 days a week. Nearly 150 decks by Baker, Flip, Girl, Chocolate, Real, Plan B, Crimson, Zero, Element, DGK, Bogata, and more. The best in tees, hoodies, wallets, trucks, wheels, bearings, t-shirts, hats, and DVDs. New York's largest Santa Cruz dealer. Introducing Jark Skateboards, Europe's best-selling deck. Oil City Skate Park, 3565 Maple Court, Oceanside, New York. Phone 516-442-0706 or go to www.oilcityska.com for more info.
InRavio.com. Welcome to the future of radio. In radio.
Hey, this is Chuck from the Two Guys and the Chick Show. Check us out Wednesday nights from 7 to 9 Eastern Standard Time, where we talk about stupid news, email bag, and all-around BS. Two Guys and the Chick Show, only on InRavio.com, broadcasting to the world.
What are you waiting for? Everyone else is advertising on the internet. Shouldn't you? Tired of small returns on phone books, newspapers, radio ads, TV ads, coupon books, direct mail? Everyone is on the internet every day. Advertise on the internet for as low as $100 a month. Over 250,000 impressions per month on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, InRavio.com, and more. Go to the Advertise With Us page on Ravio.com and get started today.
Hey, we're back. We're back. You know, it's funny that little short, brief period that we're on commercial, I forgot what I was going to say. So I'm sure one of you will remind me. I'm sure. I can't believe I forgot where I was going. That I took a break to regroup. But anyway, rules. So they're going to validate some rules here with this tested chart. Now, what are they saying? 24 teams. That's 24 teams. So that's just about everybody. Every owner, I think, is represented because I think Jay Slice and I figured it out. There's only like 24, 26 owners anyway with all these multi-car teams and whatnot. But, to validate rules. Now, I know what they're trying to do. At least I think I know what they're trying to do. Because the racing just isn't interesting anymore. Now, as a racer, as a former car owner, I mean, not on that level, but you want to put the race back in the hands of the driver. So, eliminate these restrictor plates, and I'm going to tell you what I feel. Take away some of the aero. You're still going to go fast. Look at the modified. You got 16-inch wheels hanging out. They're still hitting this. They're doing faster speeds at New Hampshire and Bristol and the Cup guys. Now, yeah, they weigh a lot less and all that, but you know what? Pure horsepower will outrun aero just about any time. So, with that being said, they need to make the race. They need to make it so a guy could pass another guy without the slingshot. They need to have the driver drive the cars. These drivers aren't driving these cars. It's spotters are driving the cars. Engineers are setting them up there. Well, they can pretty much turn by themselves. Debris caution should only be for debris, not because there's a hot dog wrapper or a straw or the invisible debris, because they got to go to commercial. Now, I know they got to get the commercials in, and I know somebody's got to pay for the broadcast. But you know what? Today's technology, picture in a picture. Have the commercial running on part of the screen, have the race still run on the other part of the screen. And also with today's technology, I was talking to somebody last week or the week before, they're talking about why they don't watch racing on TV. They seem to be like a race fan, they like races. And they said to me, I don't watch racing on TV because I want to watch my guy. And I thought about that for a second. Yeah. When you go to the races, you watch your guy. So why can't you do that on TV? So I'm thinking with today's technology, they could almost have a camera on every car. And you go to your TV and you hit your input button and I want to watch car 33. Boom. And you got car 33. Or at least near it, you know what I'm saying? It just, I don't know. And yeah, like, now, it's just, I don't know, it's just me. It's just me. Maybe I'm, as I've been told, you're starting to sound like a fan. But anyway, I'm not really a fan. But I don't know. And then I love the debris that's like 6 inches off the wall in the corner. They got to go, draw it, put it out, caution, we got debris, throw one. And it's like 6 inches off the wall. I'm thinking if a car gets up to that piece of debris, they got bigger problems than the debris. Like concrete, maybe? You know, I don't know. It's just one of those things. It cracks me up. It really does. You know, but what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? It's all about the show. It really is, and I know that's what they have to do, and I don't always agree sometimes, and I don't agree sometimes, not because I'm trying to be a buster or try to put anybody down or bash anybody. It's just, you know, it's the old paradigm. You know, we do it that way because we always did it that way. That doesn't work, you know. You can't be afraid to try different things. You got to go out and try different things because you never know. You never know what the results are going to be. You can always go back to the way it was. You know, I've talked to promoters sometimes. I say, hey, you know, you ever think about doing blah, 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 blah? And they go, no, wait. We tried that once, didn't work. You tried it once. What if the Wright brothers tried to fly the plane once and it didn't work? I'm sure somebody else would have came along, but you tried it once. You know, the assembly line, when Ford put the assembly line, the first car manufacturer to make an assembly line, do you think it was perfect the first time? What if it wasn't? And these cars would be built one piece at a time, and they wouldn't be able to put out the equipment that they put out. You know, you gotta be different. You gotta try things. You just have to do that. And in today's racing, you know, the fans are dwindling. The fans are dwindling. The purses are. You go back years ago, you made more money in weekly racing. You can make a living out of it because you raced a bunch of days a week, and the cost of race wasn't that astronomical, and you get more than a half a race out of a set of tires. They need to go back. They need to go backwards. And you know, I'm a funny guy because I've said before that I'd like to rip the rearview mirror out of my windshield because I don't want to see where I was. I want to see where I'm going, but I knew where I was. I'm not sure where I'm going, but I can tell you this: when it comes to racing, the product that they're putting out there for the fans and the entertainment is just not what it once was. You know, I agree. I agree, WJ. You know, get rid of the spotters. You know, if you can't hear a driver or a car and you're outside, and if you can't see in your mirror a guy on the inside, boom, then you don't belong on that racetrack. You know, the seeing habits of driving. And they're this, and I'm trying to remember them now. Keep your eyes moving. And there's no particular order. Watch out for the other person. Leave yourself an out. Aim high and steering. Because if you do that, you know, if you keep your eyes moving, and you don't have to like do this, but if you keep your eyes moving, you know, a second here, you know, catch the mirror, catch this, you know, you're gonna know what's around you. You know. And you're right. They can't hear what's going on because these spotters. And I've spotted a handful of races, and this past season wasn't my first trip to the spotter stand. I spotted at Martinsville many years ago for Ed Denseski when he was running some tour races, and some of these guys never shut up. They never shut up. The guy next to me in Bristol, the guy never shut up. And I know I had Eddie Partridge on one side, and I don't remember who's on my right side, but that guy never stopped talking. He never stopped talking. My driver said to me, we're not here to have a conversation. Because I said to him, what do you want? I never spotted for this guy before. I said, what do you want? How do you want to say it? He goes, inside, outside, clear. I don't need to say, you got the 2-car coming up on me. I see it in the mirror, you know. I don't know. And I know there's blind spots to the back. I know that. But you know what? I got to drive the race car. You know what I want my spotter to tell me? There's a wreck in 1. There's a wreck in 2. Go high, go low to avoid the wreck. I know who's on the outside of me. I know who's on the inside of me. And yes, there are blind spots driving a modified, especially with these doggone seats that they have in these cars now, where what they were thinking when they put the head things here, well, you can't see left and right. I don't know what they were thinking, but maybe they weren't. But the way I have my mirrors set up in my car, I could see just about everything. And you know, I never liked the spotter. I tried it once at my local track. I tried it once and I ripped the thing right out. I just went ripped it out. You know, I mean, I'm not going to do it because I know you have to listen and all that kind of nonsense. But you know, it's going to be interesting racing with a spotter because I just don't like it. You know, and that, like I said, I know this because when you sit in the driver's seat in a modified, this is what you see. For those who've never sit in a modified, who's never strapped into one and did laps, you see the left front wheel and you see the air cleaner out of the windshield. You got a little mirror here so you can see who's on your inside. And if you set these mirrors up right, you can see who's on your outside and who's directly behind you. And not that I'm going to be mirror driving because there's not going to be too many people behind me. And I say that, you know, tongue in cheek. But I don't know. We'll have to see how it goes. It's going to be a whole new experience for me. But anyway, going back to these paradigms. Racetrack promoters do things because they always did it that way. We've always done it this way. We've always opened the pit gates at this time. We've always had practice from this time. We always do qualifying at this time. We always start our features at this time. And I'm talking about the weekly tracks. You know? And now on top of that, scheduling. That's my pet peeve with a lot of the tracks today. Some tracks, you make a schedule, you're racing every single week. No nights off, none. But that's not a bad thing, in my opinion. It's easier to sell a sponsor that way, and it's easier to, if you have a bad night, and you have a 20-race schedule, and you have a bad night, chances are that the other 19 to 25 competitors in that series, in that class, they're going to have a bad night too. So you throw out the bad night and you roll back in the same playing field. You know, wow, I got Silverback. I got him to not say. He's not going to say another word. How can that be? How can that be? Tell me it ain't so, Silverback. Tell me it ain't so. I got you. Wow. But anyway. So then you have the opposite screen with some racetracks where this division races every other week. This division races only the first week of the month. This division races this time. This division is going to get 4 weeks off because they had 3 weeks off, but there was a rain out. The casual fan doesn't like that. That upsets them. Think about this. Let's say your local racetrack has 3/4 midgets that race on occasion. Now, as far as you know, you call up, hey, what races at your racetrack? Well, we have super modifieds, we have late models, we have street stocks, and we have 3/4 midgets. Oh, great, yeah, you know. He calls his buddy, hey, let's go at the 3/4 midgets racing at that, such and such a speedway. Let's load up the car and go. All right, boom, off they go. They pay their exorbitant admission price, and they're told that the food that they brought they can't bring in. They got to bring out to the car, and then they get in the stands and they're sitting there and they're watching. 3/4 midgets ain't racing that night. So they asked somebody. Say, where's the 3/4 midgets? Oh, they raced last week. Are you kidding? And I know I've said this 100 times. I'm going to say it 100 more times. When I first started doing this gig racing, and it was 1977, 78, whatever it was, depending on which calendar you want to go by, and whether it was the 7th decade or the 8th decade, I don't really know. That's a private joke. I didn't look at a schedule. All I needed to know was when's opening day. Friday night, we were in the garage, we got ready, loaded up Saturday morning, we went to the racetrack. You don't look at a schedule. But I'm seeing more and more of this across the country. Somebody in some marketing seminar, in some meeting somewhere, convinced promoters, you don't need to race your divisions every week. And nobody questioned it. Nobody questioned it. Because this is the expert. He's in the front of the room, or she. They're the expert. They know what they're talking about. Or these people that come in, these sports and entertainment marketing people, you only want your show to be like 2.5 hours because you're going to lose their interest. Are you kidding? You're kidding, right? And they believe this knucklehead because this knucklehead is up there because he's the expert. He was paid big dollars to come talk to them about this. Are you kidding? Come on. It's not a hockey game. It's not a baseball game. Where basically you play your 9 innings and you want that 9 innings to be over 2.5 hours, or your football game is the games are 1 to 4 because the afternoon games have to be over because the 4 o'clock games because the TV, and then the 4 o'clock game has to be over by 7 so that the Sunday night. A race fan wants to see racing. They want to see racing. Yeah, they don't want the show dragged out either. Don't get me wrong. And I'm not a big race fan. I don't go to a lot of races and sit in the stands and watch them. But when I do go, I don't like downtime. I don't like them stretching out. Well, we got qualifying. Whoa. Let's slow qualifying down because we can't start the features till 7:30. Let's slow it down. And all of a sudden, in between each of the heat races, they stalling for time or whatever. I don't want to see that. But get them out. Thompson and Stafford up in Connecticut. Line them up, get them on the track, get the other guys off, go green. Boom, done, finished. I love it. That's my type of racing. I'll go watch that kind of racing every week. But don't rush through your qualifying. You rush through your qualifying, and because your advertised start says your features start at 7:30, but you're done qualifying at 6. So what do? Would you have an hour intermission? Maybe do a practice? I don't know what to do. I know what the answer is. They need to plan better. And part of it has to do with you need somebody that's going to go tell promoters, or at least convince promoters, this is what we need to do. They need to look in the grandstand and see there's not a lot of people sitting there. And if you have a late crowd, maybe you might want to think about, maybe let's start a little bit later. Because especially today in this day and age, there's a lot of people that work on Saturdays. They're not getting off till 5 o'clock. So by the time they get off, get home, take a shower, have a quick bite to eat, and get to the racetrack, it might be 5:36. 6:37 even. What's wrong with running a show till 11 o'clock, 10:30? Do the competitors really need to be lined up at a pit gate at 9 o'clock in the morning for a pit gate that opens at noon? I show up at some of the tour races, and the gate opens at 11, and I'm there at 7 in the morning, and there's guys online already. Now, it's not like the guys that are online drove from North Carolina up to Connecticut. It's the guy who lives around the corner who's online first, because he wants that certain spot, And I guess that's why you really should line them up in points. People say it's impossible. It's not impossible to do. Line them up by points. That eliminates who's getting there early. Even at your weekly racetrack, this division should be here, this division should be there, this division should be there, and not all mingled in. I don't know. I don't know. I'm just. Obviously, we're not building the racetrack that we tried to build, so it's not going to change anytime soon because that was one of my things, was parking. And I could never understand why do they park the rigs in forward. They don't do that at Thompson. They put them on an angle, with the tour mods anyway. They put them on an angle, but at Stafford they park them in straight, right in. Now, not that they have this problem anymore, but what happens to the guy who don't qualify? He wants to get out. If they're parked at an angle, he can get right out, or she can get right out of that spot and get the heck out of there. But if you park straight in and the guy's across from you and parks in, it's hard to get out. I don't know. Jay Slice, good seeing you, man. I see you got your Christmas stuff up. It's all good. But that's how it was in the olden days, because you start a little later. You get done a little later, but it's bam, 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 bam. There's no downtime. I hate downtime. I hate it. I just do. I don't know. But it was 1977. That was a lifetime ago. Back in the 70s. That was a lifetime ago, Jay Slice. And Jay Slice, you changed your name to 77. Why is that? Trying to tell us something? Is there a new number in the Cellular race team? I know I got a new number, but it's not the number. I raced that number back in 96, 83, because my car owner wanted to turn the season around, because when I was at 38, we had a real cruddy season. So all of a sudden I go to the shop and the car's all lettered and it says 83. I said, what are you, dyslexic? Will it 38? And not that it's bad to be dyslexic. I'm not picking on dyslexic people, but please, I don't want to get any emails and nasty grams. But he said that we wanted to turn the season around, so let's do that by switching the numbers. And we turned the season around, all right. We certainly did. It wasn't good. But yeah, back in the old days, WJ saying there was only 3 divisions at Freeport. Yeah, and there was 40 cars in each division. Absolutely. Hey, back in 2002. So I don't want to go back there, but yeah, I'm going to go back there. I just looked this up, and not that I looked it up, I had nothing to do, and I was like, let me see how many cars there. But as many of you know, I moved to a bigger and better place, and it's all good. And I was going through my stuff, trying to organize my stuff, and I found. I used to give the owners of the racetrack, I used to give them a breakdown. How many cars in each division? How many modifieds? How many late models? How many Chargers? How many Ferraris? How many trucks? How many blunderbuss? So I'm looking at it, and I'm going from memory. I didn't bring it here with me, obviously, but there were 30 modifieds. And at 28, I did provisionals in case somebody in the top 10 didn't make the show. So we would sometimes start an additional car through a provisional. We had 25 late models. We had 40 Charger cars. We had 40 blunderbuss cars, 40 plus blunderbuss cars. It was 15 figure 8 cars. It was about 15 trucks. And there were 40 legends. And that's a lot of race cars. A lot of race cars. And Janet DeBello, who was one of the back 8 people for me, who's moved down to the Charlotte area. She used to, at the end of the night, come up to me and she'd come up to me and just say a number. Now, nobody knew what that number meant other than me. And she'd come up to me and say, 1,115, 994. And she'd walk away. That was how many people signed into the back 8. Now, back in those days, the pit fee was $25. Get 1,000 people in the back 8, that's 25 grand. 25 grand. Now, it only cost, with all the purses paying out and the sanction fees, I believe, it only cost about 14 or 15 grand. So that was 10 grand a night that was just coming into the bank every week. That was without selling a ticket, without selling a hot dog, a soda, or a beer, or anything. And You see, your back gate has to pay the bills. Has to pay the bills. If you're not drawing the cars and the people in the back seat, the back gate, then it's not good. Yeah, I mean, the blunderbuss. I can remember the guy that won the title in, I think, 01 or in 2000, Chris Jericho. He didn't make it a couple of nights because it was tough to qualify. At 12 cars, 4 heats at 12 cars each sometimes, or 10 to 12 cars each. And you took 4 or took 5. And then it was 2 consies. So they have 48 guys, and now you just took out, you have 20 made it. So there's 28 guys, so 2 14-car consies sometimes. Or sometimes one 28-car consi taking 4, depending on time, But what happened? What happened? Let's take a look at that. We're going to take a look at I'm going to write it down so I know to come back to it. We're going to take a break, and when I come back, we're going to talk about what happened to a division like the blunderbuss here in Long Island and why it's dwindling car counts and the reasoning for that. We'll be back.
Rich's Bay Diner and Restaurant. Steaks, chops, wraps, breakfast skillets. The Mauritius Bay, 62 Montauk Highway in Mauritius, New York. 878-6827. The Mauritius Bay Diner and Restaurant in New York.
I get so lost in Revio.com.
Stay in tune guitar strings. Guitar strings, bass strings, polish and accessories. Stay in tune guitar strings. Akron, Ohio. www.sitstrings.com.
In Revio. Transmitter? We don't need no stinking transmitter. Welcome to InRavio.com.
Hey, this is Paul Discofani, the disco portion of the Glory Days with Bruce and Disco show on Sundays, 10 a.m. to noon. It's a sports show with a twist. We have entertainment, music, and whatever you want to talk about. Only on InRavio.com, broadcasting to the world.
Good Times Magazine, New York's best entertainment paper for 43 years. Check out their calendar for all the latest music info, including New York City, Queens, Nassau, and Suffolk. Studio News brings you the biggest news about the hottest artists and sounds. Technobeat is your guide to electronica, techno, house, and dubstep. Packtrack keeps you up to date on the biggest events at the area's performing arts centers and theaters. Good Times Magazine gives you all this and more. It's bi-weekly and it's free. Pick up your copy today or visit goodtimesmag.com.
Stop putting it off and start painting it up today at Ben's Paint Station, featuring Benjamin Moore paints, Sickens, wood finishes, paints, and professional paint supplies, ideal for contractors and homeowners, stain paints and epoxies, family owned and operating, in business for over 55 years, professional and experienced help, located at 2 locations, 55B Route 25, Quorum, Long Island, New York, and 1495 Plaza, Montauk Highway, Mastic, New York. Call them at 775-7435 and 775-8135. Ben's Paint Station, featuring Benjamin Moore Paints. Log on to the Enravio advertisers page today.
InRavio.com.
East End Screen Printing and Embroidery. Shirts for as low as $3 with print. 631-281-TEES. That's 631-281-TEES. 1355F Montauk Highway, Mastic, Long Island, New York. Go to eastendssilkscreenprinting.com for more info.
Hanging with the cool kids at InRavio.com.
Hey guys, it's Christine from Backwater. Tune in every Saturday night from 7 to 9 for music history, musicians' birthday blocks, trivia time, and the best alternative music around. Saturdays at 7, only on InRavio.com, broadcasting to the world.
Sud City Car Wash, Montauk Highway in Mastic, Long Island, New York. $9.99 early bird special Monday through Thursday, 7:30 to 8:30 a.m. Phone 395-6114. Sud City Car Wash. Hand washes, hand waxes and detailing. Interior cleaning, brushless, car wash club. Simonized products. Sud City Car Wash. Montauk Highway in Mastic, Long Island, New York.
Hey, we're back. So anyway, just to get with Silverback, I don't know what time I'm coming to the shop, but I'm gonna get with the chief and coordinate with him. I'm not sure what his plans are, but I got to call him on Wednesday and set that up. So it's all good. It's all good. But I will definitely let you know, and then. Just looking at the map, you can't get there from where I live. It's gonna be a real pain in the neck, but it's worth it. Anyway, Blunderbuss. For those who don't know, Blunderbuss cars race here on Long Island, and if you go to the rules, I'm gonna say this whenever I can. You go to the rules, and for whatever reason, it's in the fire suit section that the Blunderbuss are an entry-level division to create an interest in stock car racing. With that being said, there are drivers that are in that division that have been in that division since its inception, back in the mid-'80s, if not before. I don't remember exactly, but it was in the mid-'80s. And the division had 40 to 50 cars at one point. Now they're not even getting a full field. Why is that? Well, Jay Slice hit the nail on the head. It has to do with cost. See, what happens is this. Rules sometimes aren't enforced because, well, in the beginning, it's because you're trying to build a division. And for the longest time, that division had two cars. This guy, Fred Rogers and Ron Harrison. And then two became 4 and 4, 8. And then, I have a car, it doesn't really fit the, if you allow this, now we have 16. And so forth and so on. Then it used to be a claimer on the motor, $500. But what happened was when somebody went to claim one, the way the claiming rule was made, the way the claimee, the person who was being claimed, read it, is that he got the engine, he got the short block. He didn't get all the bolt-on parts. He didn't get the intake, he didn't get the carb, he didn't get the fan, he didn't get the oil pan, he didn't get the exhaust. Oh, well, okay, so, and then you had to give up your motor. So let's say I'm gonna claim, Jay Slice is racing, I'm racing, I'm gonna claim his motor. I had to give him mine. So I'm going to the junkyard, I'm gonna take a 350 out of an old wrecked up old Nova and throw it in there, because he's not getting all my bolt-on parts, who cares, So, it just, that was problem one. And then what happens, you always get a guy that comes in who's gonna, as I put it, rewrite the rules. And he has an in with some of the tech officials. And he convinces the tech officials that you really need to go to this. These parts are hard to get. And I know in 2007, 8, with my blunderbuss car that I had when I had my kid drive me, people were saying you can't get these parts. I was able to get the parts. There wasn't one aftermarket part of my race car except the seat. I got my parts. If I couldn't find them at a junkyard, I found them online. All right, so And there was like the night that had to do with illegal control arms, and the guy that won, they disqualified him because they had illegal control arms. And then they went to the second place guy, he had illegal control arms, and they went to third, he had illegal control arms. And when my kid finished ninth that night, and so I went up to the tech guy, because now he's up to like the seventh place car, and so far he's DQ'd like the top 6. And I said, listen, you might as well just give me the trophy now, and I'll bring the car over to tech, you can check it out, because I have the only legal control arms in this whole division. And I guess they thought better of letting my kid get the win, so they changed the rule that night. That night. So that kind of nonsense went on in that division. And then the motors just got out of control. And I'm going to say this, and I know people are going to be ticked off when I'm saying this. You can't have your tech guy building engines for cars that race in that division, or any other division for that matter. And I don't want to hear the nonsense. I'm told that he only builds one motor. It's a bunch of crap. He builds a lot of motors. And when I had a driver drive for me, and I'm going to see, in 2009, I guess it was. I think it was 2009. It doesn't matter. He only drove me for 1 year. And I wanted to get a new motor, because I wanted to take the motor that was in the car, and I wanted to save it for other things, future recommendations. So I said to him, listen, nobody knows who you are. Don't say who you're driving for. Just tell me you got a blunderbuss car. And I want you to go to this guy, the 5 guys. I want you to go to these 5 engine builders and get a price on a motor. And I want you to go in and use the same line. I have nothing. I need everything, from carb to pan, fan to bell house. I need everything. And you come back, if you see all these guys, and you come back and tell me how much they want. So 4 of these engine builders were within $300 or $400 of each other to build a complete motor for this blunderbuss car. Within $400. Except the 5th guy. He was $1,000 higher than the next highest guy. So he comes back and he shows me this. I said, listen, this is what I want you to do. Go back to this guy and say to him, listen, I went to this guy, and you're $1,000 higher than the most expensive guy. Why is that? I'm just curious. Do you have a special motor? Is your motor better than everybody else's? So he goes back and he goes in humble, and he says to the guy, he goes, I've been going. I don't have a lot of money, but I went to this guy, and this guy, and I asked about how the prices, and you're $1,000 higher. Why is that? And he says, call it tech insurance, son. Kid, he doesn't know what that means. He goes, oh, all right. So he comes back to the shop, and he goes, hey, I met with that guy. Yeah. He goes, yeah, it's for insurance. Insurance? What do you mean insurance? He goes, it's tech insurance. So he goes, I guess so. When you go through tech, you don't have to pay? I said, no, dude. Tech insurance means that you don't have to worry about being teched. So here you got a guy building motors, a guy who's a tech inspector, the head tech guy building motors, who's machining, that shouldn't be. And my racer says, all of a sudden you had these built motors. Hey, I had a built motor. I'm not going to lie. I tried 1 year without one. I got blown away. Transmissions, these trannies that some of these cars have thousands of dollars for transmissions in an entry-level division that pays $105 to win, and from 10th on pays $20. The pit fee is $30. How could that be? Who allows that to happen? Better yet, what person in the right mind would even race in that division? Right? The people that are racing that division are the guys, the big fish in a little pond, so he can line his shelves with trophies. It'd be cheaper for him to go to a trophy hut and buy his own trophies, or go to any trophy store and buy his own trophy. It'd be cheaper. Because he didn't own those trophies. So that's the problem here, and that's what happened even in the figure 8 division back years ago, when the figure 8 cars, they were all beat up old cars. You didn't worry about if you wrecked it. Like Jay Slice said earlier, you go in and you see, you need a control arm. You went to the junkyard. And that's how I learned that from 59 to 63 Ford was the same. 64 to 67 was the same. 68 to 72 was the same in the Ford line, because I was a Ford guy. So you learn this stuff. I didn't go to some catalog and the UPS man delivered it after I paid an exorbitant amount of money. I went to the junkyard. I had a bent lower control arm. You got one of these? What's it out of? It's out of 63 Ford Fairlane. Yeah, that's over there. Go help yourself. What do you want? I'll give me $10. No, now you got to go and you got to spend $50 or $100. Then you have to have the bushings done and you have to have the ball joint drilled out. Are you kidding? It just got out of control. The cost for racing just got out of control. Just out of control. And that's what happened. That's what happens when you have an entry-level division that's no longer entry-level. That's what happens. So now what happens is a guy who wants to get into racing looks at the rules. He's going to go through all the rules. Let me see all the rules. I can't do modified. Well, that's out of the question. Oh, late models, that's really a modified with full fenders. We can't do that. Oh, well, a Charger goes, these motors, they're about 6, 7, 8, 9,000. Wait, this one says entry level. Let me see. I'm going to build my car to these rules. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. Because I'm an entry guy. I'm a new guy, entry level. So I go in and I show up at the racetrack, and I can't qualify because I have junk compared to these guys with 4,200-pound late model cars, because that's what they are. Somebody needs to keep that in check. The other thing they need to keep in check, and it was something and people are going to disagree with me on this, but that's okay. That's your right to do that, is you have somebody dominating the division. Dominating, winning, top three, as somebody once told me, they called it, their goal is to roll over the scales every night, the top three. You got a guy coming and rolling over scales, top three every week, there's a problem. So there was a driver, and I'm not going to say what division, maybe some people might remember or know, but you got to keep it interesting. So what do? So you have a guy winning just about every week. Now, what they did recently is they shortened that race because they took 5 laps out of it, and that guy couldn't get to the front in 15 laps anymore. He needed those extra 5 laps. So what did I do? You want to win every week? I'm going to tear you down every week. Stop winning every week. You dominate the division. The race stinks. Nobody's going to come into this division and the race for second. Okay? Absolutely. Jay Slice knows what I'm talking about. It becomes, the officials got to control it. See, what's happening now is, and what happened in the figure eights back in the early 80s is a certain number, 2, 3 guys had the ear of a certain head official who had the ear of others, and they started making rule changes to fit their needs. And now all of a sudden, you'd roll into the track and not effective in 2 weeks, not effective next year, effective today. This is the rule change. Effective today, what are you kidding me? And I'm no mechanical guy, so I'm not making that change that day. So I was always hit with, hey, you got a 100-pound penalty. You can't make that happen, a 100-pound penalty. All right, so throw the 100 pounds, And it's, I just don't know. This is what's happening. And it's just not, and don't get me wrong, it's not just happening at the local place that I could throw a rock to from the studio, but it's happening all over the place. Think about who becomes an official. Think about it. Not the casual race fan or the fence grabber who wants to get into the race. Well, one of the former co-chief stewards, that's how he became an official, because he didn't want to pay to get in. So he became the guy that flips the green light on and flips the yellow light on. That's how he got in. That's a whole nother story. I could dedicate a show to that knucklehead. But but you become an official because maybe you were involved with a team and the team you were involved with doesn't race anymore. And you still want to stay involved. So you become an official. Now you have all these allegiances. You have all these friends. You have relatives even. So of course there's going to be favoritism. Of course there's going to be. And it's just, I don't know. I look at that and, I can remember looking at, I was going to drivers' websites, just, and not that I was looking for anything, I was just interested to see, because I was thinking of making a website for my team. I wanted to see what other people had. So there's one late model team, I'm looking at his crew, and one of the officials are listed as his crew member. How could that be? How could that be? So now I'm watching, I gotta pay attention. See, I'm the head guy now, so I gotta pay attention to this kind of crap. So I'm watching, and fortunately or unfortunately, this crew member on this label team was the flag guy. Now, so his car maybe spins, or rare occasion might spin, that yellow flag, whoop, right out. But it was never for his car. It was, there was debris. It was a hot dog wrapper in turn one. Then let's say his car is in the pits, whatever, changing a tie rod, changing the bent wheel, whatever, it changes something. He'd be jumping out of the flag stand, making sure the cars were all perfect, all right, stop a guy, and then he'd hear the car come, all of a sudden we're ready to go racing. That stuff was happening. And I'm not gonna lie, I was a beneficiary of that type of favoritism back in '96. I had gotten some stuff from the local recycling yard here on Long Island. So of course, their company was emblazoned on the trunk deck of my race car. So like many nights that year, it's lap one, turn one, I'm in the fence with 5 or 6 other people. But I'm in first and everybody's like piled on me, around me, over me. So what they did, the tow truck guys come out, who happened to be employees of this recycling yard. They move all the other cars out of the way and then tow me off first. As they're dropping me down on the jack stands in my pit area, they say, "We won't get the last car off till you're on the ramp." And my guy next to me, was parked there to help me out. In fact, the 52 Charger guy was there, and he goes, "I don't think we're going to make it." "No, we're going to make it. We got time." So we fixed whatever had needed to be fixed. I think we changed the ball joint and a tie rod. And I got back on the ramp, and sure enough, the other car came off. Now, was that fair? No, it wasn't. But, no, it wasn't Sticks, WJ. Sticks Fodder. And you know how we got that name. But anyway, it was an official who was there like 20-something years and was unceremoniously let go. And finally, because of stuff like that. But anyway, that's what happens at the local racetrack, not just here on Long Island, but everywhere. There's the politics of racing. There's even at the Sprint Cup level, there's politics. Come on, I don't know. It's just, thank you, WJ, yes. And I know you know who now. But you saw that, officials hanging out at race shops. Now, I don't have a problem with that, but it's kind of funny. A certain PR guy at a racetrack once told promoters that I couldn't be fair because I had relatives racing. Now, I don't know if he's going to be fair. He's going to show favoritism to his relatives. That poor relative wished he raced somewhere else because I had to show them that I wasn't going to do that. And we'll go back to 98, I guess it was, 98, yeah, maybe 98. A car spun out in front of a relative's car, and he didn't even touch him. I black flagged him for rush driving. It sent shock waves through the facility. It's something you just have to do. So, once you're on a racetrack, and the late Walt Edsel said to me, once you're on a racetrack, you're just a number. And yeah, that was just a number, but you know what? I had to show that I wasn't going to do that. I wasn't going to do that. And Jay said, yeah, you've been on both sides of the fence. You've been the recipient of the good, the Good Boy Guy Club, and you've been the recipient of the Dapo Club. So, we've all been there, And I'll tell you what, WJ, you would be an awesome official, but you would last maybe 3 weeks. Because they want soldiers. They want wooden soldiers that don't speak, that only listen. And you would try to do the right thing. And they don't want that. They don't want that on every level. They want little wooden soldiers that only speak when spoken to and do what they're supposed to do and don't make any decisions without checking with the higher up. And again, this isn't just locally, it's across the globe with racing. There was one official, Paul Puerto when he became an official, I called him up. And he'll confirm this. I called him up, I congratulate him. I said, hey, congratulations on your, because he always talked to me about being an official. I said, you don't want to do it. And he goes, no, why, it'll be good. So I don't know, maybe I was gone a year and he became an official. And I went up to him, I said, what are you doing? He goes, I think I can make a difference, blah, blah, blah. I speak their language. I said, no, you don't. They don't want a guy that speaks the driver's language. They don't want that. I don't think he lasted 6 weeks. I don't know. And again, and some of the things that happen, it's based on who you're associated with. Well, if you're associated with the in crowd, you're good. So when I came in to Riverhead Raceway in 1989, I was associated with the in crowd. Tommy Kraft, Tommy Ryan, John Ford, the in crowd. Did the best parking spots in the pits. I didn't race there my whole life since the 77. I raced there like once in a run with your brung type of thing, and then I think I did a bomber race. And here I show up with a figure eight car, and they want to park me out Calverton way in the back, and next thing I know, everybody in the front had to move down one to make me a spot, because I was part of the in crowd. And then when I came back in 2006, I was part of the Bad Boy Club. They didn't want me. They had me way out. I could have took the train to the races and not had to park that far, but that's where they had me for a while. See, it all depends on who you associate with. And believe it or not, it becomes frustrating. Poor Puerto Rico, the guy, he went racing, back to racing his legend car, he's all happy, and I don't know. I don't know, who you doing? And look who you ended up next to in the in crowd. See, my in crowd now is a lot different. All because I went to Mountain Speedway. Oh, what a difference. What a difference a lifetime makes. But it just, when you look back, again, I'm going to look back. I raced at ISIP. I did a week or two in Freeport when I was suspended. And back in I'm trying to remember when it was, probably in the 70s. And I think I was suspended for fighting because, sometimes I driving the racetrack, I said, are we going to race or are we going to fight? Let's fight. Let's get back there. That guy wrecked us last week. Let's get him. The in crowd. But it's, when I look back on those things, and when, in one of my books, I alluded to a story about a fight in the pits, and here I was, my first year in racing, and Walt Edsel and Eddie Walters in the book called me in the office to tell me that I was suspended for life. Suspended for life. I'm not like 19 years old. I still got I figure I have like 60 or 70 years left to go, maybe at least a good 50 years of racing. And what are you guys talking about? You guys are cracking me up. I'm like, wow, I just got into this. I'm being kicked out forever, But I humbled myself. I went in there and I was really humble, and I said some things, and I was involved with politics at the time, so I knew what to say and how to say it. And I said something. In fact, I said, look, before I leave here for the last, I was real humble. I said, Mr. Edsel, before I leave here for the last time, I just want to say I apologize for embarrassing you in this fine racetrack. And, if I have a chance to do it again, I would never let that happen. But thank you for the opportunity and for the fun time I had. And I go to shake his hand, and he goes, Skippy, sit down. With that, there's a fly on his desk by his sandwich. He hits this fly, he kills it, he smashes it on his desk, and he says, oh, yeah. And he says, all right, I'll see you next week. I'm not suspended for life. And he said, well, you are, but I didn't say whose life. It was the life of the fly. True story. I'm not making it up. And there I was back. And my good behavior lasted a little while because I was back rumbling with TK and the boys, shortly thereafter. And, so all he had to do was say to me, so-and-so wants to start. All right, let's finish it. Oh, yeah. I just love when I see private jokes on the chat room. Crack me up. Throw my whole train of thought off that. Now I got to go to a commercial. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, we'll be wrapping up tonight's show. We'll be back.
Mauritius Bay Diner and Restaurant. Steaks, chops, wraps, breakfast skillets. The Mauritius Bay, 62 Montauk Highway in Mauritius, New York. 878-6827. The Mauritius Bay Diner and Restaurant in New York.
InRavio.com.
Stay in tune guitar strings. Guitar strings, bass strings, polish and accessories. Stay in tune guitar strings. Akron, Ohio. www.sitstrings.com.
InRavio. Transmitter? We don't need no stinking transmitter. Welcome to InRavio.com.
Hey, this is Paul Disclafani, the disco portion of the Glory Days with Bruce and Disco show on Sundays, 10 a.m. to noon. It's a sports show with a twist. We have entertainment, music, and whatever you want to talk about. Only on InRavio.com, broadcasting to the world.
Good Times Magazine, New York's best entertainment paper for 43 years. Check out their calendar for all the latest music info, including New York City, Queens, Nassau, and Suffolk. Studio News brings you the biggest news about the hottest artists and sounds. Technobeat is your guide to electronica, techno, house, and dubstep. Packtrack keeps you up to date on the biggest events at the area's performing arts centers and theaters. Good Times Magazine gives you all this and more. It's bi-weekly and it's free. Pick up your copy today or visit goodtimesmag.com.
Hey, we're back. I'm sitting having fun with the chat room. I hit the cap like one. It looks like I'm spazzing out. But anyway. But, getting back to, why the car counts down, and not just, I'm talking everywhere. To the point where, Thompson's reevaluating whether they're going to be, weekly racing and maybe only a handful of shows, whatever. But, the car counts down, and this is what happens. And what happens is this. Jay Slice just cracked me up. What happens is this. You have somebody comes in and says, you know what? We should start, I don't know, a three-wheel division. And then the promoters are, yeah, well, I know a lot of guys that will build them and blah, 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 blah. Okay, fine. Because it's all about thousands. And so the promoters go for it. Yeah, and the big announcement, a three-wheeler division's going to start. Of course, I'm making up. There's no such thing as a three-wheeler division. I might be planting a seed here. So here we go, and you have a three-wheeler division. So the guy who started it, him and his two friends who have two between them, would go and show up with their three-wheeler race cars. So now what happens is this. They start to do it. Just like the blunderbuss, they had Fred Rogers and Ron Harrison taking turns who's going to win every week. Just like they had that guy, Pat something, I can't remember his last name, with the Super Pro truck. For a year, he was the only truck out there. So he holds the record for races started, the percent of wins, 100%. So Now what happens is the back markers from the other divisions, like, whoa, wait a minute, hold it. We could build one of these things and maybe we could win. Well, here's how I look at it. If you're a back marker in this division, you're going to be a back marker in the other division. No matter what division you're in, you're going to be a back marker because you're not doing your homework, you're not doing the right things, whatever the case is. Yeah, Dan, he was the only guy, the only guy in that division of trucks. Pat. I can't remember his name. It'll come to me. So that's what happens. So now what happens is, so 3 or 4 guys from all the other divisions practically leave that division to go into this new one. So what happens? Now you have 40 cars, now went down to 36. Then you start another division. Now you have 36 cars becomes 32. Throw in the economy, you have 20. Before you know it, you have no cars. You have no cars. And that's what happens. That's what goes on. And that's what happens. I was just talking to my beer rep today when he came to the place. I'm talking, he goes, you remember when AMP started buying up all the other supermarkets to eliminate their competition? I said, yeah, I remember that. And AMP came out with this program called WEO. I don't even know what it stood for, but when I remember WEO, and it had to do with pricing and bulk items and all that kind of crap. So now what happens is they do that, and they start losing money. And what happens when you lose the money? You're out of business. So not only did they put themselves out of business, but the 2 or 3 other supermarket chains that they took over end up going to. And as Jay Slice is saying, your car count doesn't change. If you have 4 divisions with 40 cars in each division, you have 160 cars. Now you're going to have 5 divisions with 35 cars. You're still going to have the same number of cars, same number of people in the back gate. You didn't add anything. The only time you might add something is like when the Legends came back here to Long Island. When the Legends came back, then your total car count went up. And now they're war bombs. That's what happened. The stronger part of the organization survived. And that's what happens with race divisions. Think about it. Think about how a lot of people don't know where the Charger division came from. A lot of people don't know that. Well, I'm going to give you an education. Back in 78, 79, they had a thing called the Women's Division at Islip Speedway. The Women's Division. They had about 10 or 12 women. It was a good show. It was a good race, Had some, interesting people there. And what happened? Well, what happened was, then you have a guy who wants to race in that division. So now, they only have now at this point 8 or 9 women. So all right, let's do that. But we can't call it the women's division anymore. So let's call it the novice division. So it's going to be all new people. It's a novice division. So what was happening was washed up street stock drivers were getting into it, washed up late model drivers. Now all of a sudden you have all these guys in this division. Now the women are gone for the most part. They're done. They're out of it. And you have these new guys. Well, they don't want to be called a novice division. So they became street stock very briefly. Because the late models that were the street stocks didn't want to be called street stocks anymore. So they changed their name to late models. A lot of street stock people, that just didn't work. Because when they moved to Riverhead, the promoters decided to call them Charger cars. And the cost to race those was inexpensive. But those costs got out of control. In the division that, again, had 35, 40 cars, are struggling to field 10 or 12. Why is that? I suggested a long time ago. You don't need, because to the casual fan who doesn't go every week, they can't tell the difference between a late model Charger here on Long Island and River. So the casual fan they think because it has a spoiler, that's the only difference. And there's more to it than that. So, so what do you do? In my opinion, you don't need those 2 divisions. You need one. Combine those cars, make it a 3-year transition, and before you know it, I don't know. There's just ways to do it. Just like, with engines, with engine rules. And I think the Super Pro trucks, the Chargers, and the figure eights should have the same motor. Makes it easier to tech. And if a guy destroys let's say he destroys the Super Pro truck and there's a figure eight car sitting with no motor or a Charger car sitting with a motor, he could put that motor in and not have to worry about things. And there are you're right, there are too many differences, but you know what? Do you need 2 divisions with 9 cars each? You don't. You don't. That's not working. That's not working at all. There's some nights at that racetrack there's more police than late models. It should never be. There's ways to make that happen over time. Just like, when you had the, I don't know. I don't have my facts. I don't want to talk about certain things. But when you have only 9 cars in a division and they're only racing every other week, that's not racing to me. That's not how it should be. And now because there's only 9 cars in the division, there's no qualifying. Everybody's in the feature. So what happens is a new guy coming in, it needs that seat time. He needs the heat race. He needs the consi or she to get seat time. They're not getting it. They're going from practice to feature, and they're tearing up their stuff. And they can only afford to put their stuff back together so many times. That's why the car counts are so low, because there's too many doggone divisions, and there's not enough cars in each one. And this entry-level thing that needs to be addressed. And you don't need 7 divisions. You just don't need 7 divisions. 3 divisions, something special once in a while, throw in a circus act, start the show a couple hours later, the total show, not the features. Start your features 7 o'clock, but give the guy who works on Saturday afternoon a chance to get there and see the whole show, qualifying and everything. As one person put it to me once, and they were yelling at me because they said the show starts at 6. Qualifying then started at 4, and they come yelling at me. I'm walking through I'm going to the office to talk to the owners, and they're yelling at me like I make the schedule, I make the show decisions. And they said, if they knew qualifying was at 4, they would have came at 4. And I just, what am I going to say? I shrugged my shoulders. I walked away. So it's like going to the circus. You go to the circus with your kid can't wait to see the elephants. But elephants were earlier. See, they were part of the main show. You missed them. And again, the WJ, you hit the nail on the head. No seat time in a modified is a big problem. Time trials aren't the answer. I know why they're doing time trials, because they want to be able to say that their guy is in the state points, they're running for the state title. I know that. I know that's why they're doing that. I said to them a long time ago that our racetrack would never have a state champion because of handicapping. Now, it took a lot of years for them to do that, but I don't know. Anyway, coming to the end. Today's coming to an end. It's almost that time. So the guys after me on what is coming on are in the control room. What's their name again? I can't remember. Metal Maniacs. If you're into metal, man, these guys are awesome. Man. Stay tuned and listen and view these guys. They don't wear the same clothes as I do, but they're good guys. They're good guys. And they don't have the same hairdos as I do, but they're good guys. I'm telling you what, they got a lot of passion for what they do, and they follow me, so that's a good thing. Anyway, we're gonna wrap up. We got about a minute and a half left. So I want to thank everybody for spending some time with me this evening. I hope you had a great time, and we'll talk about handicapping next week, WJ. In fact, I'll make a note of it. But thank everybody for taking time in their busy schedules, whether you had work, you had school, you had dinner, you had hockey game, whatever you're doing tonight. I appreciate it. And it's all good. I always enjoy talking to you folks. It's always good. And yeah, I'm going to jam. I got my drums. I'm going to be playing. But I want to thank everybody again. I hope everybody has a good week. I hope wherever your endeavors bring you until next Monday night are good ones. Tell somebody you love them, and God bless you all. Have a good night.
Out of place.